JBN, we keep you informed. Transport operators with total of 1,489 outstanding tickets arrested. 3 public passenger operators with a combined total of 1,489 outstanding tickets were arrested yesterday by members of the police's traffic department during operations conducted in Kingston and St. Catherine. In custody are 40-year-old Roger Bartley, a bus operator of Eltham View, Spanish Town, St. Catherine, who has 1,028 outstanding tickets; 39-year-old Andrew Bailey, taxi operator of Tavern Crescent, Kingston 6, who has 272 outstanding tickets; and a 36-year-old Dwayne Barrett, taxi operator of Stony Hill, St. Andrew, who has 189 outstanding tickets. The police say warrants were issued for their arrest. The men are to appear before the Kingston and St. Andrew Traffic Court on Monday. Man arrested in St. James, gun find. 2 other firearms found in Kingston. A man has been arrested following the seizure of a firearm and several rounds of ammunition on the Sugar Mill Main Road in St. James on Wednesday. Reports from the Montego Bay Police are that about 11 a.m., officers were on patrol in the area when a motorist was accosted and he along with the vehicle searched. The police reportedly found a 9mm Taurus pistol along with 2 magazines containing 25 rounds of ammunition in the vehicle. The motorist, whose identity has been withheld pending further investigations, was then arrested. Meanwhile, police in Kingston Central seized 2 firearms and several assorted rounds of ammunition on Gold Street in Kingston on Thursday. Police reports are that about 10 a.m. and 1:15 p.m. lawmen were on a joint operation in the area when 1.45 Taurus revolver and 1 Cobra Mark 12 pistol, along with 12 assorted rounds of ammunition, were found. No one was arrested in relation to that seizure. 2 men involved in deadly Manchester stabbing granted bail. 2 men charged with the murder of a man during a domestic dispute in Manchester earlier this month have each been granted $300,000 bail with sureties. Farmer Collie Pennant and taxi driver Andre Newman, both of Silent Hill in Clarendon, were charged with murder and a conspiracy to commit murder, were offered bail by Parish Judge Courtney Maxwell on Wednesday when they appeared in the Manchester Parish Court. They were ordered to return to court on November 26th. It has been alleged that on September 2, the accused men were engaged in an argument with the deceased Sylvester Brown, who is of a Silent Hill Clarendon address at the Silent Hill Sports Complex. Brown was fatally stabbed during the argument. Attorney at law Ashford Meikle, in making the bail application, said the accused men acted in self-defense. Red Hills Road drug vendors feel pinch from gang war. At least one jerk chicken vendor has launched an appeal for warring gangsters on Red Hills Road in St. Andrew to avoid targeting him and his colleagues. Woes started for the vendors at 108 Red Hills Road earlier this month when one of their colleagues was murdered by gunmen. Following this, the drug vendor, who wished not to be named, said the police ordered them to stop operating in the area. This has been causing a stir among chicken salesmen and other business people in the vicinity. The vendor said that he and his colleagues are even willing to pay for police protection so business can resume. Anybody who come out, them say them are going to throw them chicken and pork or dirt and lick down upon them. We need to go back on the road. We want the warring fractions to know that they should not trouble the chicken man them because we are not involved in them war. If the police them stay out there until 10 o'clock at night, if we really have to give them something, that have to go on. If we work 15,000, we have to give the police 2,000. That is how it will go, the man said. He highlighted that drug vendors who sell close to PriceSmart have been capitalizing on his predicament. The other day, one long line out there, one chicken man said they force him done so early. He usually sell off by 1 a.m., but he was off the road by 10 p.m. Contrary to what the vendor said, the Deputy Superintendent Dale Garrick, head of the Jamaica Constabulary Forces Corporate Communications Unit, said vendors are operating as usual with just some restrictions. We have a responsibility to protect lives. The police have to restrict activities to bolster the safety of persons. Tension is still high between rival gangs. 2 construction workers charged for St. Thomas robbery. The St. Thomas police have charged 2 construction workers with robbery with aggravation following the hold-up of a woman on the Belvedere Main Road in Morant Bay in the parish. Charged are 30-year-old Andre Marriott of Harmon Close, Kingston 6, and the 22-year-old Richie Grant of Millsboro in Barbican, Kingston 8. A court date is to be set. The police report that about 9:55 on Saturday, June 15, Marriott and Grant were traveling in a motor vehicle which was being operated as a taxi. According to the police, the men picked up a woman and on reaching a section of the road, they held her up with knives and stole her purse containing documents, 2 cell phones and other personal belongings. The police say the men were subsequently arrested during another robbery attempt in Kingston. They were positively identified at an identification parade and later charged. Supreme Court halts drug trafficking money laundering trial of St. James men. Supreme Court Judge Courtney Day, who stayed the drug trafficking and money laundering trial of 4 St. James men yesterday, gave the go-ahead to one witness to testify by video link. Convicted drug smuggler Christopher Drummond, who is serving a 27-year prison term in the United States, was allowed to testify in the trial of the men. Drummond told the court that he was involved in a cocaine trafficking operation with Gale and Dunbar. Day had ruled that after the evidence of the witness is given, there should be no further hearing until the application for leave to go to the Judicial Review Court is heard. A date is to be set for the hearing. The order to stay the trial, which began on Monday in the St. James Parish Court, was made by Day Thursday. This followed an application by attorney-at-law Hugh Wildman. The stay will remain until there is a determination of the application for judicial review to quash the trial. The men, Robert Dunbar, Louis Smith, Delroy Gale, and Melford Daly, are being represented by Queen's Counsel Tom Tavares Finson and attorneys-at-law Hugh Wildman, Hus West, Cena Smith, Martin Thomas, and Faith Gordon. On Wednesday, an application was made before Parish Judge Sandra Wong Small that the trial was a nullity and the case should be thrown out because the men were charged under the Money Laundering Act, which was repealed in May 2007 and replaced with the Proceeds of Crime Act. When the application was refused, Wildman, who is representing Smith, took the matter to the Supreme Court. It has been alleged that between 1999 and 2005, the men were involved in drug trafficking between Jamaica and the United States. They were arrested and charged in September 2013. Wildman explained that the trial is a nullity because the charges were brought under an act that was repealed. Police outlined new operating hours for Clarendon and the St. Catherine SOE. The police are advising residents and business operators in Clarendon and St. Catherine that in light of the declaration of the State of Public Emergency SOE, the following opening and closing times now apply. Clubs and fast food restaurants from 7 a.m. until 11 p.m. Every place required by law to operate under a tavern license from 7 a.m. until 11 p.m. Petroleum filling stations from 6 a.m. until 11 p.m. Supermarkets, grocery stores, haberdasheries, and any other place offering goods for sale from 8 a.m. until 11 p.m. Pharmacies from 8 a.m. until 11 p.m. Churches from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. Any other public place from 9 a.m. until 11 p.m. Persons are being asked to comply with the new stipulations as the security forces partner with residents to create safer communities. St. Catherine and Clarendon account for nearly 1 in every 3 murders. St. Catherine and Clarendon account for nearly 1/3 of the more than 900 persons murdered across the island this year, Leader of Government Business in the Senate, Kamina Johnson-Smith, has revealed. Jamaica has recorded just more than 950 murders since the start of the year, and according to Johnson-Smith, 257 of those killings occurred in St. Catherine and Clarendon. She made the disclosure on Thursday as the Senate, in a rare Thursday sitting, voted to extend the state of emergency SOE by 30 days in both parishes. The enhanced security measure was imposed on September 5 and was set to expire on Thursday after the initial 14-day period for which it had been declared. Johnson-Smith disclosed that since the start of the year, St. Catherine, which has 2 police divisions, recorded 157 murders. The St. Catherine South Police has reported 91 killings so far this year, 45% higher than the similar period last year, while the St. Catherine North Police has recorded 66 homicides, down 14%. In Clarendon, Johnson-Smith said 100 persons have been killed since January 1, making it the police division with the second highest number of murders. 14 days is quite simply not enough time to take a hold of the criminality that has become entrenched in certain areas, Johnson-Smith said, as she sought to convince opposition senators to back the extension. Seeking to address the major sticking point for the opposition, whose members have demanded details about the operations. Johnson Smith, the leader of government business in the Senate, said that up to last Sunday, 135 persons had been arrested and charged with various offences. 35 persons were arrested in St. Catherine and 100 in Clarendon, she said. Further details of detentions, etc., undoubtedly will be shared in the dialogue that has been agreed to, Johnson Smith said, making reference to the planned talks between the government and the opposition on crime and other pressing issues. But after listening to Johnson Smith's presentation, Opposition Senator Lambert Brown made it clear that this was the last dega time he would vote for an extension of the SOE, while his colleague Floyd Morris revealed that he had to resist the temptation to yawn. My natural body response was triggering a yawn, but out of respect for the leader of government business, I held back. I listened to the presentation in which she tried to convince herself that the state of emergency is working, said Morris, who is blind. But when I looked at her facial expression, I know that she was unconvinced. Equally, the body language of the supporting cast was unconvincing, he added, triggering an outburst of laughter. However, seeking to drive home his assertion that the security measure was not working, Brown pointed to a string of police statistics, which he said were going in the wrong direction. As an example, he said the police statistics show that so far this year, arrests are down by more than 600. Arrests for illegal guns are down by 223, while the use of guns in murders and robberies has gone up. He said that the statistics reveal that 783 murders were committed by guns this year, 50 more than for the corresponding period last year, while guns were used in 580 robberies this year, up from 515 last year. The guns have not been removed under the state of emergency, Brown lamented. The government has also implemented longer opening hours for businesses, churches, and other public facilities in both parishes. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.